Hello everyone. The Great Depression is considered to be the most severe economic disaster in modern history, stretching from 1929 to the early 1940s. It originated in the US but quickly spread to other parts of the world, leading to mass unemployment, widespread poverty, and significant changes in government policy and economic thought. But despite its profound impact, many people remain unaware of the Great Depression's lessons for our economy today. So, in this episode, we will understand the Great Depression through a detailed breakdown of the causes, spread, impact, and the recovery. Let's begin our journey with the stock market crash that took place in 1929, which is considered to be the initial spark of this turmoil. At this time, a lot of speculation was taking place and people were investing in stocks with borrowed money, believing prices would continue to rise. Then this massive bubble burst on October 29, 1929, also known as the Black Tuesday. Suddenly, everyone started selling their shares and taking back their invested money. This led to a massive collapse in the stock prices. The stock market lost billions of dollars in value, wiping out investors and shaking confidence in the economy. Following the crash, many panicked and started withdrawing money from the banks. This caused further bank failures as the banks could not cope with everyone withdrawing their money at once, leading to a complete collapse in the banking system. To give you some reference, more than 9,000 banks were shut down during the 1930s. With banks failing, everyone's wealth was decreasing, reducing their spending power. The demand for goods and services also plummeted, causing a vicious cycle for declining production, layoffs, and further reductions in demand. In response to this chaos, the US government passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930, which raised tariffs on imported goods to protect domestic industries. However, this backfired as other countries retaliated by imposing tariffs on US exports, causing a collapse in international trade. Global trade declined by over 60%, worsening the depression worldwide. Also, the Federal Reserve wasn't able to take appropriate action. Instead, took some actions that made the situation worse. The Fed allowed the money supply to contract instead of providing liquidity to the struggling banks by cutting interest rates. This would have increased the cash flow, stimulating the economy. Also, by the 1920s, industries like agriculture and manufacturing had overproduced goods, while wages hadn't increased much. This resulted in a surplus of goods with insufficient purchasing power of the customers, leading to unsold inventory and reduced production. So these were the countless causes of the Great Depression, originally sparking from a stock market crash. From here, it started spreading across the globe. Widespread unemployment was seen globally, and just in the United States, 25% of the population became unemployed. Many became homeless and poor, and breadlines became a common sight as people struggled for food. As economic hardship spread, extremist political parties were on the rise, with the most prominent one being the Nazi Party of Adolf Hitler. Some countries turned to authoritarian regimes to address the crisis, like Germany. Next, in addition to all of these economic factors, the Dust Bowl of the 1930s was a period of severe drought in the American Midwest, which devastated the farming sector. Crops failed and many farmers were forced off their land, worsening the already dire economic conditions in non-urban areas. This led to mass immigration, especially to western states like California. So here the question rises, how did we get rid of all this chaos? Well, the US government took some actions to begin. Initially, President Hoover believed the economy would recover on its own. He provided limited government interference and focused on cooperation between businesses and public work programs. But this proved to be insufficient, ruining his reputation as a president. Hoover was heavily criticized for some big mistakes as the Depression deepened. Then, if we fast forward to 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected US President with the promise of bold action to stop the ongoing crisis. He introduced a series of economic programs, collectively known as the New Deal. These programs aimed to provide immediate relief, economic recovery, and structural reforms to prevent future such depressions. This New Deal consisted of banking reforms which restored confidence in the banking system, job creation programs that employed millions through public works like bridges, roads, and schools. Also, there was a collection of social safety policies and financial reforms that provided welfare schemes and aimed to regulate the stock market and prevent another crash. Next, Roosevelt took the US off the gold standard in 1933, which allowed the government to increase the money supply and fight deflation. The Federal Reserve also eventually shifted to a more expansionary monetary policy, helping to stimulate the economy. This New Deal is considered to be the big reason for US's recovery. But some credit must also go to World War II. Millions were recruited by the army, and infrastructure and military building created more jobs. Quickly, unemployment dropped. Now, this fixed the US's problem, but how did the world fix theirs? Well, nations adopted pro-trade policies that boosted international trade. Central banks from across the world adjusted interest rates and increased money supply to stimulate their economic activity and restore confidence in the banking system, just like the US did. In the end, global cooperation made things even better with the establishment of the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, promoting economic recovery and preventing future such disasters. Now, this Great Depression had numerous impacts. Firstly, it completely changed the way people thought about the economy. Many started believing more government intervention was needed in the economy during times of downturns. The Depression led to a significant expansion of the role of the government in the economy, particularly in regulating industries, providing social welfare programs, and also managing economic stability. Also, the Great Depression transformed international politics by contributing to World War II and the establishment of economic peacemaker organizations like the IMF and the World Bank. Thank you for listening to this episode on the Great Depression.